What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Forza Motorsport 7, and today I'm going to be looking at December's car pack, which is the Doritos car pack. Yes, Doritos, great sponsors we're having for these packs right now. Basically it brings 7 new cars to the game like all the other DLCs do. We will start off with the BMW 328. Now this is a very old BMW, and I mean it's an alright car. It's I don't think it's something that anybody's really been wanting. It's not the most interesting car in the world. I don't think it's the most well known. I think I have seen this car before. It does look familiar. However, it does just look like, every other car from around that time. What is it, 1920s, 1930s? I'm not 100% sure, but it is a very old car around about that time. And I mean, it's okay. It's in E-Class, so from standard it is very slow. You can probably make it go pretty quick and pretty crazy with sticking some upgrades on it and stuff. But as a standard car, it's not particularly interesting. And to be honest, I really don't think anybody's going to be using this car very much. Unless, you have like a build series where you like to just mess around and build up a car. I really don't think you're going to be using this car. It just isn't that interesting in my opinion, but there we go. Next up we have the Bugatti EType 35C. Once again, this is another car that I don't think is really going to get used. It's an interesting car. I mean, this is a really old-fashioned car. You can just tell by looking at it, it's really old, and it's okay, but I mean, is it really something that people wanting? Now, if you're into, these really old-fashioned cars, then sure, maybe you'll enjoy this. But for me personally, and I'm sure a lot of other people, this car is really not something we're too bothered about. It's just a really old-fashioned Bugatti. I don't know how much upgrading you can do to this, but usually cars like this you can't do too much with. You can't stick really big engines in them because they don't have much room. And altogether with the older cars, especially these types, you really can't do much to them. So I feel like this car, once again, isn't really going to get used at all, which is very sad. Next up we have the Chevrolet 150 utility sedan, and once again I think this car is a little bit better. It's a little bit more interesting than the other two. However, it's very similar to the Chevrolet Bel Air and a couple of other cars that we already have in the game. So because of that, once again, I really don't think it's going to get used. It's another classic car, obviously this one being a lot newer, 50s, 60s-ish. I haven't actually written down the exact, years, the dates for these cars, but this is a 50s, 60s sort of car. And once again, I just don't think it's going to get used. It's not that special, I don't think. It's really just, it looks like a Chevrolet Bel Air, basically. And once again, it's in E-Class. All 3 of these cars so far are in E-Class. I imagine with this car you could make it a bit more interesting, sticking some upgrades on it, but altogether it's not that different from any other, from a couple of cars that we've already have in this game. So yeah, once again, a bit of a shame. Next up we have the Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk. Now, this is basically the newest 2018 version of the Jeep Grand Cherokee. God, that's a bit of a mouthful. Has a lot of power. And it's alright, it's pretty quick, it's pretty nice. But once again, like the Chevrolet, we already have a Jeep Grand Cherokee in the game. Now it's the older version, but it looks almost identical to this one. However, the old one is only in like C class, I think, C or B class. So this one has a lot more power, it's a lot quicker. However, really, it's pretty much the same car, just a newer, more powerful version. So because of that, once again, the Jeep Grand Cherokee, I don't think is that interesting. I mean, it's an SUV. I personally don't mind SUVs coming to the games like this. It's something a bit different. It's something a bit crazy. However, once again, a game like Forza Motorsport, not really made for SUVs really. So once again, the Jeep is not the most amazing vehicle. Next up, we have the Nissan Safari Turbo. You can see a pattern here. Once again, we have a vehicle that I don't think anybody's really interested in. Yeah, so far this pack is really not showing out to be particularly great, is it? This is basically an old, I don't know, 80s, I don't even know what year this car is, 80s, 90s, no idea. It's another off-roady type thing, and it's just not particularly interesting. It's just a Nissan off-roading thing. And I mean, what do people want this? Is this something that people want? I really don't know. This pack has baffled me so far. And I mean, it doesn't really get much better going on further on, but I mean, yeah, this is just it's just another off-roady type thing. Once again, would have been great for Forza Horizon 3. For Forza Motorsport 7, it's not really needed unless we get some off-road, crazy off-road tracks. This just isn't going to be used, I don't think, so I don't know why we have it in the game. Next up, we have the Porsche Cayenne Turbo. Now, this is probably my favourite car in the pack. I do quite like the Porsche Cayenne Turbo. Out of all SUVs, this is one of my favourites. However, once again, it's an SUV in a game about track racing. Why? And I mean, with the Cayenne Turbo, I'm fairly sure there's another version of the Cayenne Turbo in the game. Don't quote me on that. There may be an older version. It may just be like the Porsche Macan or something. I'm not sure, but you know, is this really that interesting? Is this really that interesting? I mean, for me, it probably is my favorite car in the pack. I think it's in B class. And I do, even though it is slower and lower PI than the Jeep, I do prefer this just because I prefer Porsches, I prefer the look of this and everything. But once again, is it really needed in motorsport? I really don't know if it is. I really don't know if it is. That seems to be the whole thing with this complete pack. And then finally we have another Porsche, the Porsche 804. This is kind of an old, is it a race car? I don't really know. Probably one of the more interesting cars in the pack. However, once again, we've got a lot of things like this in Forza already. We've got a lot of cars like this. We've had them in previous packs. We have them in the game from standard. This is a fun car to drive around, but it isn't that special, I don't think. You know, you'd think a car like this would be really special, but it kind of isn't, because there are just so many cars like this already in the game that I just don't really feel that this is that crazy, you know? And yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know, this is probably my second favourite car in the pack, I'd say. But it really doesn't do much for me. I don't think I'm gonna really. I might drive some of the SUVs again if I ever do an SUV kind of showdown thing on this game. I probably will drive them again, but most of these cars, not really. So there we have it. That was the Doritos Car Pack for Forza Motorsport 7. I will be honest, this was a massively disappointing car pack. Definitely the worst car pack I've ever seen for a Forza game in general. You know, talking this game and Horizon 3. Worst car pack so far, definitely. The Porsche Cayenne Turbo I think is okay, but really not designed for this game. The 804 is alright. The Jeep Grand Cherokee is okay, but then I don't care for the BMW, I don't care for the Bugatti, I don't care for the Chevrolet, I don't care for the Nissan. So that's 4 cars that I don't care for, and 3 that are okay. There's no good cars in this pack, I don't think, and it's a real disappointment. This is really not a great car pack. If you haven't got the car pass and you're just buying DLCs as they come, I would skip out on this one because it's just not particularly good. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.